Hello, everybody. Welcome to Elite Weather Forecasting. My name is Mr. G, your meteorologist. And as you can see in the background, here in St. Paul, Minnesota, there is a Lions, the soccer stadium back there in the background, the Basilica right here. And there's the Basilica here in Minneapolis. But this is the St. Paul Cathedral right here in the foreground here. And you can see all of the lightning as we are having severe thunderstorms tonight. So a very exciting evening weather-wise across the Twin Cities in the city where I live. And we're seeing those very strong, the severe thunderstorms moving across the Twin Cities right now. And these storms are packing winds up to 65 miles per hour, some 1-inch diameter hail, and very heavy rainfall. So we're going to be seeing heavy rain with some flash flooding, lots of lightning. You can see the amount of lightning. So a lot of lightning taking place with some of these thunderstorms. And believe it or not, this is the area right now seeing the worst weather across the country besides the East Coast in New York City, where they have seen a tremendous amount of flooding. Have you seen the flooding around New York City? There's so many videos, it's hard to pick one to show you, but just go on TikTok or YouTube and type in New York City flooding. This is the remnants of Tropical Storm Ophelia that hung around across the East Coast and the Northeast for the last 7 days. It has rained for the last 7 days across the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic states, and we have seen epic amounts of flooding. The subway tunnels and everything is flooding. The highways, I'm seeing buses stranded. It's just unbelievable. But look at this storm out here. Wow, look at this. The camera's getting buffeted around. This is quite the show right now. Let me get over here where you can see how the camera's bouncing around, and that very heavy rain probably blowing from the side, coming from the west as these thunderstorms move across the Twin Cities as we have a warm front lift north across the area. This morning, I got soaked on my way to work from a line of thunderstorms that moved through the Twin Cities this morning, and now we're seeing the cold front associated with this storm system begin to work its way across eastern Minnesota right now. So we're seeing that tremendous line of severe thunderstorms. Look at this. This is incredible. Very strong. It's very rare to get this on film like this. So I'm quite proud of myself tonight. I'm pretty excited. This is just ridiculous. Look at that. That is just unbelievable. This storm is not playing games. I wouldn't be surprised if my power goes out. So if the video doesn't finish, but we're gonna keep it moving so that we can beat any potential power outages. I wouldn't be surprised to hear quite a few power outages and some flooding and some other structural damage because of those high winds, that very heavy rain, and all of that lightning. That lightning could really cause some power concerns tonight. So let's move on with the weather forecast for everybody else, as we are having a wild night here across central and eastern Minnesota in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and St. Paul. So as we talk about the weather forecast for the rest of the country as well as the tropics, let's start off with our first map. And this is the current temperatures across the country. As you can see, it's still pretty warm here across the south central parts of the United States. We're still seeing those temperatures in the 80s from Texas here into the central plains and up toward the north, toward the upper Midwest. Now we are seeing that rain across the upper Midwest, Minnesota, and into parts of western Wisconsin. So we're seeing a lot of wet weather up here in the north, but we're still seeing very warm weather across the central U.S. and the southwestern United States as well. But it's very cool in the Pacific Northwest as we have a very deep trough that will begin to dig in and spread its way down toward the south before shifting toward the east, and that is going to be create an intense warm up here across the central U.S. and the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. So we're going to be seeing things warm up tremendously this weekend and into next week as that trough out west digs down to the south and eventually spreads into Southern California and over Arizona and New Mexico as well. But that is also going to increase the likelihood of severe weather through parts of the central and the northern plains in the Midwest. So it could be a very wet week for folks across the central and northern U.S. as we head into the upcoming week. Here is our radar right now. Here is that thunderstorm that we're seeing across the Twin Cities and across the central Minnesota right now. We're seeing that very strong thunderstorms. You can hear that thunder. That was some really loud thunder. And I live in a pretty big building that's this is a brick building, and you can hear that thunder like that. So really intense thunderstorms right now. So I'm hoping that the power hangs in with me. But again, those severe storms moving across Minnesota, and they're extending down into Iowa and Nebraska as well. We got some showers and storms up here across the Pacific Northwest. There's even some snow and some of this precipitation as well, as we have that wintry coolness. It's very fall-like, almost winter-like in some parts of the Northwest. And then we got some more showers and storms down here across the southwestern U.S., down across West Texas and southern New Mexico, and along the U.S. and Mexico border with New Mexico there. And we have our big issue here in the Northeast, up here around New York City and Boston, again, the D.C. area. We've been seeing a lot of rain. That is actually the remnants of Tropical Storm Ophelia that has been kind of hung up over the Northeast for the last 7 days or so, and they've seen that tremendous flooding where they've had to declare a state of emergency across the 5 boroughs of New York City. We have a stationary front down here along the Gulf Coast and across Central Florida, and that front is producing some showers and thunderstorms across that area. So we're seeing that thunderstorm activity down across the Deep South and over the Gulf of Mexico. Now here's our satellite image right now. There's the thunderstorms over Minnesota, and then we have the remnants of Tropical Storm Ophelia here in the eastern Great Lakes and over the Northeast. So that's still producing a lot of rainfall. Now, as we can see, our tropical system no longer has tropical characteristics, and it has a frontal boundary attached to it now, and that front extends across the state of Florida, and this is the northern Gulf of Mexico, and this is the Gulf Coast states of Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, and parts of Louisiana, where we're seeing some showers and thunderstorms along the tail end of that frontal boundary. We still have a hint of monsoon moisture over the southwest down here over northern Mexico. This is the Juarez state of Mexico, the province of Mexico, New Mexico right there, and West Texas and parts of the Oklahoma area and the panhandle there. We're seeing those thunderstorms there, and we have some wintry weather up in the Pacific Northwest. So again, there's our rain and snow mix across the Northwest and the Cascade and the Northern Rockies. Here is our severe weather outlook for tonight. Severe thunderstorm. We have a marginal risk for severe thunderstorms, but we have a 100% chance because we are seeing severe thunderstorms in this very region right here over the Twin Cities. So that forecast pans out because we are actually experiencing severe thunderstorms tonight. So that marginal risk of severe weather has actually became a likelihood of severe weather. So we had a very long day here across the Twin Cities because we saw those severe storms last night, this morning, and again this evening we're seeing that severe weather. We don't expect any severe weather for your Saturday, but we continue to have that chance for thunderstorms here across the upper Midwest, northern Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the Dakotas, down through Nebraska, western Kansas, through Colorado and New Mexico, and again, South Texas right here, where we have that frontal boundary that is extending along the Gulf Coast. to Florida, seeing some thunderstorms in that area, but no severe weather is expected tomorrow, at least no widespread severe weather. Isolated severe storms are always possible. We could see some severe storms as we head into your Sunday across the high plains over parts of Montana and Wyoming and into the Dakotas, northwestern Nebraska. We have a marginal risk for some severe weather, and those primary threat is going to be some damaging hail and very gusty winds. An isolated high altitude tornado could also, or a high or elevated tornado could also occur across the high plains with that activity, because we have that energy starting to come in from the southwest. So that's going to help fuel from severe thunderstorms across the plains as we head into your Sunday. Now here is a look at the temperatures for the next until you get to the 3rd. This is through the 3rd, but we're going to be seeing that warmth spread across the Great Lakes, the upper Midwest, and the Northeast as we head into Wednesday. But after Wednesday, we're going to see a pattern change. In our next video, we're going to talk about that pattern change that we're seeing in the GFS right now, where we're going to see this cold air that's over the Northwest and the Western U.S., this cold air, as we pass Sunday, or as we pass Wednesday and into next Thursday, we're going to see that cooler air moving into the upper Midwest. So we're seeing that severe weather today, but as we head into the middle part of next week and the end of next week, we're going to see that pattern flip, and we're going to get very cold, where we're going to start to see lows get down to near freezing across Minnesota and Wisconsin. We can finally see our first freezing temperatures, our temperatures finally potentially cold enough for snow in the overnight hours at least, but we're going to see those highs in the 40s and 50s. So it's going to feel like late fall across the Twin Cities and the northern tier of the country and the Great Lakes as we head through into, there's another big clap of thunder, very loud out there. Wow, unbelievable. But anyway, so we're going to see it warm through the middle part of next week before we start to cool down in the east. Here's our rainfall expectations for this week. We're seeing that start off here across the upper Midwest, where we're going to see several inches of rain because of severe thunderstorms. And this is forecast through next Wednesday. We're going to see that there for the potential for a couple of inches worth of rain, 2 to 3 inches of rain across the upper Midwest. We're going to see it dry mostly across the Great Lakes and the nation's midsection here through the Midwest, the bulk of the Corn Belt. We're going to see it dry over the next week, but still some wet weather across New England. And most of this rainfall is going to occur before Sunday. So a lot of this is going to be gone by the time we end Sunday, but we will see several more inches of rain across the Northeast and several inches of rain along the Gulf Coast and into southern Texas as well, where we have that cold front in the area, and then we have some leftover monsoon moisture down here across Mexico and New Mexico and West Texas, where we can see some monsoon thunderstorms, and we have that storm system across the west, that major trough that's digging down toward the southwest and into, that's going to dig itself, that's going to roll across the Rockies and into the upper Midwest and the Central Plains next week. So that's going to bring much cooler weather to the center part of the nation, where we have been primarily above average for quite a long time. For many months now, we've seen very warm weather from Texas to the Canadian border. So we're going to finally see it be considerably cooler along the Central Plains in the U.S. and the Northern Plains. A little bit cooler in the Texas area as well, with that trough sliding to the north of your area. All right, so here is our 500 millibar height anomaly here, where we're seeing it here across the Great Lakes and into Canada and the northern tier. We're seeing it where that is very warm, very high out. Those 500 millibar barometric pressure is going to be higher than average. So we are talking about above average temperatures, above average these heights. So we're going to have very nice weather next week and through Wednesday. So very nice weather. You can see these millibar, these isobars here. As you can see it, when it goes like that, that indicates a high amplitude ridge. So a very dense, a very large area of high pressure. This dome of high pressure, warm air across the eastern U.S. So very nice weather across the east, very warm weather as we head into the middle part of next week. But meanwhile, out in the west, this indicates cooler than average weather temperature. So very cold in the west, almost wintry like in the west. So we see this trough, this big area of low pressure moving into the west, and it's going to dive down into the southwest and across the Rockies. You can see it rolling across the Rockies, and eventually that's going to end up in the nation's midsection, where we're going to see it cool down drastically as we head towards next weekend. So enjoy this one more week of really warm weather across the east and the Midwest. But as we head into the next weekend coming up, oh boy, it's going to get much, much colder. It's going to hurt because you're not used to it yet, and it's going to hit you like a slap in the face. You're not going to get a gradual build-up. You're going to have a warm day, then the next day, ouch, what happened? That's what you're going to be saying. So get ready for that pattern change. So here is our height vorticity. This looks at all the spins in the atmosphere. This here is our tropical remnants there. That is the remnant of Tropical Storm Ophelia as that moves on off into the Atlantic. But here is our ridge of high pressure over the nation's midsection, our high amplitude ridge. But here is our western trough. Now this western trough is going to slide its way across the southern Rockies and the desert southwest, and it's going to make its way into the eastern Rockies and the western plains by the time we get through next Wednesday. So we're going to see this trough of stormy and cold weather. So we're going to see some more snow across the Rockies and the Sierra Nevadas and in the Cascade Mountains as well. So we're going to pick up some snow in the higher elevations, and we're going to pick up some rain next weekend into parts of the Midwest. So prepare for a stormy night tonight across Minnesota and Wisconsin, but a warm-up through the latter part of the weekend and through about Wednesday before things start to take a tumble next week. All right, so let's jump into the tropics. We still have Tropical Storm Felipe to talk about. Now, Felipe is a child with no direction. Felipe don't know where the hell he's going, and it's just going to be a tropical storm. It doesn't have the mechanics for further development. It's hanging on barely with 45 mile per hour winds, so it's a minimum tropical storm at best. So we have Felipe out there, but not too far away from it, we have his little sister. This is Tropical Storm Rena, and Rena also is very close to Felipe. So neither one of those are expected to develop much further into a hurricane. This one will actually begin to lose strength because of this. I'm going to show you exactly why I don't think these are going to develop. Now, if you look at their center of circulation, it's offset from its main core of a convection. This convection is set off to the east. Again, here is our circulation right there. Here's our convection right here. Now, why is it like that? Why is it offset like that? That is because of wind shear. Tropical systems do not function well with a lot of wind shear. That wind shear is upper level winds and mid-level winds that blow through a storm. It's like a crosswind to an aircraft trying to land, and the airplanes are hard to land. That crosswind is just like the wind shear that tropical storms deal with that they don't like. So we have that wind shear that is kind of shearing our storm apart, so it's not able to better get organized. So we have these two tropical systems that basically I think are going to actually kind of spin around each other. They're going to kind of dance around out there over the central Atlantic. To the east of the western to lesser Antilles are right here, and we have those storms out there. So a little bit going on in the tropics. This is really interesting for scientific purposes, but this is not going to affect a lot of people. Maybe cruise ships and shipping interests may have to keep an eye out for these guys. Might make the seas a little bit rough. Some rainfall as well. But again, these are not going to be anything more than what they are right now. So that is your weather forecast. My name is Mr. G, back with you on this Friday night. I have a lot of homework and schoolwork to do, so it's hard to make those videos. I have to really crunch it and get things going. And we'll have a video tonight, and we'll have one before the end of the weekend for you guys on YouTube and TikTok. And I'll try to make the video cover the next few days out. That way you have something to work with. But mind you, the weather always changes, and if it changes too significantly from what I originally forecast, I will make another video to cover how the weather has changed, and we'll account for the changes in the forecast. I don't want to leave you guys out there in the lurch and caught off guard, and you'll be like, well, Mr. G said it was going to do this, but that's what happened. The weather always changes, folks. What I say today may not hold true a couple days from now. It all depends on what the models are saying and how things are looking overall. So anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to continue to track these wild and crazy storms that we are experiencing across the Twin Cities. I'm glad my power held up. This is a pretty sturdy building, and I think all the power lines are underground over here, so it doesn't do too bad. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.